Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the massive 3-hour stadium spectacle that was Netflix's live roast of Kevin Hart. We're going to unpack the whole shebang, the shocking celebrity drama that unfolded right there on the stage, and the billion-dollar business strategy powering it all behind the scenes. Because, this wasn't just a comedy show. It was a massive cultural event that actually reveals a ton about the future of entertainment. So, here is our agenda for this explainer. We'll start with the surprise heavy hitters, move on to burying the hatchet, then look at the stand-up showdowns, and finally zoom out to discuss the live roast boom. Section 1. The surprise heavy hitters, where athletes and actors bring the heat. To really grasp the absolute no-holds-barred atmosphere at the Kia Forum, we gotta talk about the night's biggest surprises. We're talking non-comedians delivering some of the most devastating lines of the entire night. Take NFL legend Tom Brady. He was clearly out for revenge after Hart roasted him earlier in the year, and he delivered an absolutely brutal hit regarding Kevin Hart's personal life. He casually weaponized one of the darkest moments of Hart's public life, joking about returning to his affairs in Las Vegas. Right, so to understand why that joke hit so incredibly hard, we have to rewind to a deeply painful, multi-million-dollar public scandal. Back in September 2017, a video surfaced of Hart with another woman in Vegas while his wife, Iniko, was pregnant. It sparked this massive media frenzy, deeply humiliating her, and by 2019, it resulted in a $60 million lawsuit. So Brady wasn't just casually poking fun, he was throwing a highly publicized, real-life crisis directly back in Hart's face. And man, the hits just kept coming. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson completely abandoned his usual family-friendly persona. He made this epic WWE-style entrance just to deliver deeply explicit insults about Hart's wife, basically saying she deserves an Academy Award for pretending to sleep with him. I mean, it was a genuine shock for the audience to see a universally loved PG-13 movie star get so raw and personal on a live microphone. It's a fascinating contrast, isn't it? On one side, you've got Hart's highly produced, family-friendly movie star brand. Think blockbusters like Jumanji. On the other side, you have the live roast target, subjected to deeply personal, incredibly not safe for work attacks about his height, his fidelity, and his marriage. But the absolutely crucial context here is that Hart told the roasters they could say absolutely anything. And wow, they definitely took him up on that offer. Moving on to Section 2, burying the hatchet and the real-time truce. So beyond the brutal jokes, this live format also became a stage for high-stakes, totally unscripted drama involving one of stand-up comedy's longest-running feuds. Surprise guest Katt Williams grabbed the mic and actually reignited his 2024 accusations, claiming Hart is an Illuminati puppet whose strings are pulled by the head of Netflix. He brought years of very real tension right out into the open, claiming Hart literally stole his career. The back and forth between them was just vicious. Williams claimed Hart was an industry plant with no star power who only got big by scooping up movie roles that Williams had already rejected. While Hart fired back a massive clapback during his own set, mocking the absolute absurdity of Williams supposedly turning down massive franchise hits like Ride Along just to do a cameo in the movie Norbit. The feud was deeply personal, with Williams even taking shots at Hart for performing at the controversial Riyadh Comedy Festival. But then, in a totally shocking twist, this bitter feud paved the way for an incredible moment. Hart actually used the live broadcast to officially end the years-long animosity. He hugged Williams right there on stage, saying they're too small to have the beef that they had, and offered an olive branch of peace. He noted that it's just bad for the culture to see two black comedians fighting. By doing this on global television, Hart turned a roast into an unedited, real-time moment of industry peacemaking. All right, Section 3, the stand-up showdowns, comedians at war. Now, while the athletes and surprise guests were making all the headlines, the professional comedians on the dais were turning their comedic weapons squarely on each other, and they were absolutely ruthless. Pete Davidson, for example, compared podcast host Tony Hinchcliffe to a recently murdered conservative activist, Charlie Kirk, while simultaneously making deeply explicit jokes. Davidson literally urged someone to kill Tony, which is a really dark play on the name of Hinchcliffe's actual podcast.
The toxic crossfire between Chelsea Handler and Tony Hinchcliffe is the perfect example of how literally nothing was off limits. Handler went after Hinchcliffe with highly charged political commentary about abortion access, saying he's what happens when women don't have safe access to it, and even compared his face to a school shooter. Hinchcliffe fired right back with viciously personal attacks on Handler's age, her appearance, and even her decision to freeze her eggs. Neither political ideologies nor personal medical choices were spared on this stage. It was wild.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Section 4. The live roast boom. 26 million. That is a staggering number. That's the total views garnered by the 2024 Tom Brady roast, which hung around in the global top 10 for 3 solid weeks. It proves, without a doubt, that the audience's appetite for unedited, high-stakes comedy is just absolutely massive right now. And because of that massive appetite, the live roast is no longer just some one-off experiment. It is a massive economic engine. It's essentially replacing scripted comedy as Netflix's new flagship event format. And what you should really take away from this is the incredible gig economy it's sparking. Every single celebrity on that stage requires 2 to 6 punch-up writers. These writers are pulling in lucrative 4-figure day rates to churn out same-day rewrites. Plus, because they need to test these jokes out, it's driving a sudden massive demand for small, midweek spots at comedy clubs. For working comics, the career ladder has completely shifted. The path to a steady paycheck now means you've got to hone quick, roast battle-style punch-up skills. You have to secure those quiet midweek spots at venues like the Comedy Store just to test your material. Then you have to get hired via referral into an executive producer's elite writer's room. Right now, stamina for rapid-fire, unrehearsable joke writing matters way more than having a glossy, highly polished 45-minute special. But there is a catch, and it's called infrastructure consolidation. Streamers like Netflix have built up incredible recurring live event production muscle. We're talking the satellite trucks, the joke clearance lawyers, the massive staging. They can reuse all of this for future live shows. But this boom represents massive consolidation, meaning if other networks like HBO or Amazon don't step up to compete, Netflix is going to completely control the bargaining power of the entire stand-up economy, potentially squeezing out mid-tier comedians entirely. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to take away from this explainer. Will the live comedy boom actually survive its own raw, unedited nature? Think about it. In an era of highly calculated streaming strategies, if a comic freezes on a global stream, or if a technical glitch ruins a punchline, who pays the ultimate career price, the streamer or the comedian? Is the very unpredictability that makes live roasts so incredibly popular right now also the biggest threat to the comedians participating in them? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.